Hey Sag, so we're looking at how the new moon in Aquarius affects you for the month of February, as well as just going forward for the month of February, and what the vibe is. We have the new moon peaking at 7:07 on the 27th of January, on the Friday at 8 degrees Aquarius. Or if you're on the West Coast, that would have been like 4:07 p.m. or GMT, that would be like 12:07 a.m. on the 28th. So just like the 27th, 28th, the energy that we have is really bringing in, that's bringing in, or that's calling us in, is speaking to how we're bringing our unique selves, basically, and being able to share who we are authentically, and almost like being unafraid or unapologetically, and thereby reaping the rewards of authenticity, essentially. And also thereby changing communities and societies, just by being able to represent the individual who will speak out, or who will speak for the ones that don't have voices. Oftentimes this can show up also too for those who just, as I said, in humanitarian causes, but those who are in a group who unite for a reason. So whether that's a union or a congregation in a church, or a sangha for a yoga community, we see groups gather together for a reason, and unite for a reason. We just, in the past few weeks, we saw women unite together for a revolution of rights, and of respect, ultimately. So we see this happening really everywhere, and us being called into action individually and collectively, and being asked, how can we bring our story to light, and what are we doing to share, and to benefit the collective, whether that's through volunteering or the like. So for Sag, this actually shows up in your third house of transportation, communication, short distance travel, essentially. So that is like city to city, or just around your city. That's not necessarily overseas, so it's really just like kind of commuting, more of the energy, as well as the relationships that you have, with your siblings, cousins, neighbors, your peer relationships, basically. So what else? And again, like communication, so emails. So we'll see like emails, phone calls, just messages. Even just intuition. Mercury is known for intuition as well, so that can come into play. We can also see so this could be you communicating in a new way, essentially. Or communicating in a way that's truly authentic to you. So maybe this is you texting instead of phone, calling people on the phone. So alternatively, we could also see just like maybe a revolution in your relationships with your siblings, that just comes about because of you just being more authentic in your everyday, in your being. What we also have February 1st and 2nd, Mercury moving into Capricorn, and for you this is your second house of finance specifically through income or salary that you earn. Oftentimes your salary is closely connected to your self-worth and the worth that you really feel, that fills you up and is your purpose, and therefore you earn money from it. And because you earn money from it, this is where you feel like you are valued, and therefore you have that much to offer. And because of that, you are paid in kind, and this is where your salary comes in. How could you feel about the job that you do, and the money and the your identity that's wrapped up in the job that you do, really will be rewarded or shown in rewards via things that have to do with finance, so luxury, as well as your income, or your salary. So this can feel like there are conversations around these topics around your salary and that kind of stuff, and it looks like it's in close conversation or close, kind of almost like challenge with the recent changes that have been happening since 2011, essentially in your 5th house of romance, lighthearted romance. So that's like love affairs, as well as children, or hobbies as well. So things that make you feel light and excitable. Things that are fun and make you want to experience life and get out, just are pleasurable altogether. So we can see, conversations around your finances, and maybe there could be like a conflict or even a bill coming up that kind of says, you've been having, there's a lot of growth in the activities that you want to do. For example, doesn't have to be a bad thing, but you have a lot of hobbies, and it's almost, you might get a bill in the mail that says, now it's time to pay up. So just after that, on the 2nd, Jupiter is also in Libra, and this kind of speaks to the growth and the expansion that has been happening in your 11th house of associations, friendships, groups, unions, congregations, communities, societies, places where you belong, basically, places where you're known but where you belong. So we see Jupiter can be like a healing presence, also just like a philosophical presence, and really just a growth and expansion. So we can find new friends in communities, really, since the end or the fall of 2016 and up until October 10th of 2017, so later this year. But right now, Jupiter's kind of slowing down, so we see actually a conversation again between Mercury and Capricorn, with so conversations around your finances and your income, how you feel about the job that you're doing, kind of being challenged with your growth and your expansion in the communities that you belong to. And the people that you're now kind of becoming aligned with, because of the groups that you now have been, or the memberships that you've acquired. So moving forward to February the 3rd, Venus moves into Aries, and for you this is your 5th house of again, like lighthearted love relationships, so like love affairs, as well as just like hobbies, things that make you feel good, things that you enjoy, whether that's painting, or dancing, and then also just children also factor in here as well heavily. So this can see either like more spending money, because Venus can represent this money or finances, but this can either represent spending money or just more appreciation around these topics of like love, and which is not coincidental because Valentine's Day is coming up. And that, on that note, whether you celebrate Valentine's Day or not, Venus in entering your 5th house really brings either more affection or more opportunities for flirtation as well. So moving into February 6th, Jupiter retrograde is happening in Libra in your 9th house. Sorry, in your 11th house. So this is kind of your reassessment of the people, probably most likely of the people that you've met, or the growth that you've had since the fall of 2016. So Jupiter has been transiting Libra since the fall of 2016 and will continue to transit until October the 10th of 2017. So you'll see a growth, and everywhere Jupiter grows, he brings abundance, growth, expansion, and opportunities as well. So in Libra, we see possibly opportunities for growth through friendships or through memberships. Moving to February the 10th, there's lunar eclipse in Leo, and for you, this is in your 9th house of long distance travel. So maybe you have an opportunity to travel, but lunar eclipses specifically speak to ending. So there's a possibility that maybe a trip is coming to an end, or a course is coming to an end, but there is some kind of maybe learning that's happening here that is able to bring you closure. As lunar eclipses do signify endings. But in Leo, for you specifically, this speaks to the 9th house of long-distance travel, learning through spirituality, esoteric arts, as well as things like travel and learning through education, so whether that's post-secondary, but just higher learning. So spirituality often factors in, but it doesn't have to be spirituality. It can be formal learning. If not formal learning, then some kind of learning that enables you to grow, essentially. So for February 18th, we see the Sun entering Pisces, and for you, this is speaking to conversations or growth that or spotlights that are on your home, your possessions. So whether it's home and land, your hometown, home country, as well as your mother, your family of origin as well. And then on the 26th, quickly followed up, there's a new moon in Pisces, and again, this speaks to, or there's a new moon, a solar eclipse in Pisces, so this speaks to a new beginning, powerful beginning, that speaks to home, family, but more than family, mother, and maybe a renewal of healing, bringing in Pisces, as well as communities like congregations or new beliefs, and people that you can align with that empower you, essentially. So yeah. So thanks, Sag, for joining me, and good to talk with you, and hopefully you join me next month. So if you'd like a reading or something more in depth, don't be afraid to reach out, rawredemption.ca. Talk to you soon. Bye.